Hello everybody. Today is Saturday. It's my second video today. This morning I did a Etsy share just because I was so absolutely blown away by the things I had ordered and received. They were so much better in person than what I imagined they would be. So I wanted to share that with everybody. I don't know if I would, this is not by any means a tutorial. I'm trying to do something that I just saw on YouTube a couple days ago. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, by Suzy at Shabby Soul. And she calls it a fabric folio. It's sort of a, well, you'll see as we go along. But this shouldn't be a very long video just because I'll have to stop, do some stitching on my sewing machine and come back. I would think that this is something that if you don't have a sewing machine, you could either stitch it by hand if you wanted, or quite possibly glue it. I would think stitch by hand would be better, but you could probably get away with gluing. It basically has 3 parts to it. Very quick to make. At least I'm thinking it's going to be very quick, but really fun. So I'm just going to jump right in. I've chosen 3 fabrics. That's what she used on her sample that she did. I've chosen this for my outside cover. I have a piece of batting, and then an inside fabric, and then this as my 3rd fabric. Just wonder if I want to use, no, I'll use that. I've also, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So for the outside cover, basically, you need to choose your fabric and what is going to be your inside fabric. You cut these 3 pieces, the outside, the batting, and the inside. It's 9 by 6. Then we're going to set this outside fabric aside for a moment. Cut your batting just a little bit smaller, not much, but a little bit smaller than your fabric pieces. On the inside, this will be my inside of the cover. I'm going to add some pockets. You can get very creative with this, so I suggest that you watch this and then you can make choices on, you know, where you want pockets, that type of thing. So I've used this fabric. I'm going to make a pocket for the front, and I've cut out a piece of my front cover to make a little tuck spot on that pocket, and I've cut a pocket for the back. I think I cut these from the scraps. Yeah, 3.5. I did mine 3.5 by 3.5. Of course, you can cut them whatever size or shape you want to. But I'm going to sort of stick with what she did. I already have an idea for a second one of these. And when I chose this fabric, I chose these fabrics because I don't work with them hardly ever. You know, I think I used some of this in a Christmas journal, maybe some of that. But other than that, I really haven't worked with these fabrics. So I thought, well, I'll pick some fabrics that I don't really work with to make sort of, this is my sort of test drive. So I know where I want my pockets. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew my pockets to the inside fabric and the batting. And then I'll come back. Okay, so I've stitched my pockets to the inside, as you can see. And now I'm going to turn this over. You can see how easy this actually is. We're going to stitch the front cover to the inside. I'm just trying to line all this up. I'm going to put a couple, it doesn't feel like you need them, but I am going to put a couple pins to sort of keep me on track. So we're going to sew all 4 sides. I'll do that. Well, that's what I'm going to do next, is sew all 4 sides. The next thing, well, no, I'm going to do this so I don't confuse matters. So we're basically working with 3 parts to this. So I'm going to stitch around, stitch the front cover on, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I stitched those together, and I stitched my front cover on upside down. This is why this is my test run. But anyway, I don't care, because the pattern, I mean, you'd really have to examine to figure out that it is. But anyway, so word for the wise. Make sure you have your fabric going the right direction after you attach your pockets. I'm okay with this. I'm not gonna lose sleep over this. So there's part 1. You've got your cover done with the pockets. The second part is 2 pieces of fabric, and you want to cut them approximately a 1/2 inch smaller. So instead of the 9 by 6, you're going to do 8.5 by 6. So you pick your 2 fabrics, one for the inside. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 fabrics. My bad. My bad. I'm so sorry. 3 fabrics for this one. 2, the batting, and the ends, and the inside is what I'm going to cover. Yeah, the inside. And what we're going to do on this one is going to become a pouch eventually with the pocket here. But on the inside of my little journal folio, this is going to go in here. Right? This is going to become a little pouch for a pocket. Now what she did was, on this piece of fabric, that's why we have a coordinating fabric here, we're going to cut out a couple squares, and they're going to look like little windows, which is going to show this fabric poking through. But you can also use those for little pockets. So take your top fabric. You're just going to guesstimate where you want your squares at on here. They don't have to be perfect. If you want to measure them out and make sure they're precisely in whatever spot you want them, then by all means, you know, do the measuring. But I'm going to do this based on the same method she used, which this is how this is going to be. Figure out approximately where I want that little window. I'll start here just to get my little cut. Now I'm using these scissors. I've had these forever. She was using these scissors to do this, and then when I was looking at scissors to be able to cut out this little square, it came down to either these or these, and I thought, well, I would give these scissors a go, and they, quite honestly, they work very well. I'm just trying to make sure. I can always cut this bigger if I want it bigger. I just don't want to get it too big my first go around. And I can see I probably want it bigger. Let's see. Maybe a little bit bigger. I want it taller. I'm going to cut mine a little bit bigger here. think that's good for me. And then I'm going to cut one on the back side, on the, yeah, it would be on the back side of it. Doing the same thing. And trying to decide where I want it approximately. I'm just trying to not get it too close to the spine area. That's my main concern. They don't have to be in the same spot. You are the captain of your ship, and once you see this, and I will link her video, you're going to see so many options that you can do with this. I know this is probably a little bit confusing, but I'm basically just cutting out a little square for a window. So we got two windows. You can see they're in different places. It doesn't matter because you're not going to see that. One's going to be on the front, one's going to be on the back. So what you need to do is stitch around these little window frames just to reinforce them. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I stitched around my windows. I chose to use a zigzag stitch and just stitched around them to reinforce that because you're going to be using these as little pocket or tuck spots basically. I have that on my inside fabric that I wanted to poke through. Then next I have the layer of batting, and then on the inside I have this fabric again. So I'm just going to line these up as best as possible. I don't think it really matters if it's perfect or not. As you can see, my cover is not perfect, and I'm alright with that. If you want it to be exact, you can cut off the salvages, you know, around, but I like the just sort of rustic feel to this. Need a drink. Okay, so the next thing that you would do with this is to stitch around all four sides. So I'm going to do that my next break, but I'm going to show you so I can do this all at once. So we're going to stitch around that. Then you're going to have a little flap. A flap that, I didn't line these up. And this, as she instructed, she was making these with the batting in it as well, but she found them to be so thick and bulking the little book up. I mean, it's your choice, but she made one with just the 3 layers of fabric, which made it a thinner, because you can add a pocket. That's what I forgot about. You can add a pocket, and I would think like you can add it after the fact, but I think since I'm doing the sewing, I think I sort of want to add that pocket to the back here. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is going to be a pouch. This flap is going to be here. Going to lift up. Now on the front, she did another window. So I'm just going to do the window just because I'm trying to decide where I want it really. Somewhere in here. Get my hole started. Just sort of want to guide on how big I want it to be. I don't want this one to be huge. Bring it down a little. That's all the That's a little wonky. Maybe I'll straighten that out a little bit. Well, as good as I can. I'm not that good on... No, you know what? I'm going to leave it. I cut it like that, I'm going to leave it. Not going to bother me. Let's see, do I want to turn this? Yeah, I might have that down further because some of this is going to be... Okay. So, you know I need to reinforce around my window. And then the only other thing I'm going to do, let's see, turn that fabric the right side. Maybe I should turn this upside down inside too, so it looks like I did that on purpose. So I have my little pocket window cut, my fabric for the inside that's poking through, and then my fabric for the back of it. I think this needs to go around the other way too. You can this little flap is going to flip up, of course, and then you're going to have a little pocket here out of this. You can add a pocket here, and I think I'm going to do that. I think I want a pocket, and it might be a little sideways pocket. Yeah, I think these are too small, and I don't really want any more of the red, I don't think. Is this bigger? This might be the same size. It's a little bit wider. Maybe I do want it more narrow so that whatever's in the pocket can sort of poke out. So I'm going to put a little sideways pocket on my flap here, and I'm just going to stitch that to this material when I'm sewing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sew around all four sides of the pouch to secure all those fabrics together. I'm going to reinforce my window. I'm going to stitch my little pocket on, and then I'm going to stitch around all four sides of the flap. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I have stitched around the perimeter of the pouch. Did the windows before. On the flap, I stitched around the window to reinforce it, and I have added my pocket here, and I've stitched these three pieces of fabric together. So we only have a couple more things to do, really quick things, to finish this. So there's a couple different ways you can use the flap. This is going to go in here, my pocket, or my pouch, I guess. Just trying to position where exactly is it going to be. Somewhere in there. So your flap can remain inside here. You'd have a side pocket and the pouch here, which is a pocket, and this little pocket. Or something she discovered actually while she was doing the tutorial was she really liked the way it looked on the outside as well. So when you do this part, I forgot to mention, when you do your flap, cut your flap, you're going to want it to be a little bit narrower than your pouch. You don't want it the same width as the pouch. You want to determine how long you want it. If you want it down even, if you want it up some. You do need some extra up here because this is how we're going to secure this. We're going to figure out where we want the pouch, which I'm fine about there. Turn it over. And this is where I'm going to stitch it on. I'm going to stitch it onto this back flap. And what she did, she just did a little square here to attach this. So I'm going to attach that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have attached my flap, stitched these together. You can see I don't care about, well, this number 1 is going to be closed, so that doesn't really matter. But like, as far as my edges, I don't really care that they're messy. That's just me. For anybody that, you know, likes it neat and tidy and all perfect edges, by all means, measure, sew accordingly. But it doesn't really bother me because that's sort of my preferred, whatever, my choice, I guess. And I sort of like it to look like it's been used and tattered and worn and what have you. So anyway, I get my chair here once again. It's not cooperating. There we go. So I've sewn my flap on the back of this. Just a little rectangle here. This is going to be the pouch. And as I mentioned before, you have the choice of keeping the flap on the inside. She actually attached a little tab here, and it looked really cool. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But anyway, the flap raises up. I made a little side pocket here. Or, as she had discovered while she was doing her little video, she liked it on the outside too. So you have the choice of having the flap on the outside or keeping it on the inside. So we only have 2 things to do, and they're very quick. We have to attach the flap to the journal cover, and you just roughly find the center of the journal. You can use, as she did, if I can find it, the Tim Holtz roller as the 0 that you can place this. I just choose to roughly place it. I know that my top and bottom should be about the same, but my sides should be a little bit less. Find your about there for me. You can, this is water soluble marking pencil. Since I found my approximate center, I'm just going to mark it like that. Because you're going to stitch right down the center to attach. If you need to, or if you're not using a sewing machine, you could do the 3-hole like you would a journal. My mind won't work right now. With your needle and thread. Tie it in the center. That'll attach the 2 pieces. I can't think of the name of it for the life of me. How ridiculous is that? But anyway, I think I might, just for the sake of trying to keep this somewhat there. Now I'm going to go to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew this down, and then while I'm there, I might as well, I'm going to sew these two sides of the pouch together. That will form our pocket here in the center. So I'm going to sew the two pieces together. Let me just do that and I'll come right back. Okay, so I stitched down the center here. Now the last step is just to stitch the pouch together. I'm keeping the flap up out of the way, and I'm going to turn my cover out of the way. So when I stitch on the sewing machine, I'm just sewing the pouch together around here and here. Be right back. Okay, I hope I haven't made this as painful because it's very easy. I hope that I'm explaining it simply enough. But this is completed now. Got a pouch here. You got a little window pocket that you can stick tags or whatever, even a picture. We've added the two pockets here that you can fill. The little side tuck pocket up here. On the back, another window envelope or window pocket, and a pocket on the back. You could add a pocket on the back, a pocket on the front. You could go crazy with this. I'm excited to start filling it up and maybe adding some other elements to it. I sort of like the flap on the outside. I like it on the inside too. So I don't know. I may straighten up, like right now I have strings hanging. I may straighten some of that up. I may not. Right now I just want all the just rustic whatever going on. So I really love that. Depending, I guess dependent on what I decide to do on my front cover here will determine if I want this, to use this on the outside or on the inside. And it's not like it has to be determined, you have the option at any point. You can, it's not a decision that has to be made. So I'm going to work on the outside. I'm going to work on some, she had done some fabric tags, which are right up my alley. Different things like that. Get some ephemera in here. You could also make mini journals to put inside of it, especially inside the little pouch here. Maybe a little photo album or something. I just think they're adorable. I really do. Now I wanted to make one because I wanted to find out, okay, first of all, I didn't understand that this was like a pouch, a pocket, until the very end. But you could also make this not a pouch and insert some journal pages in there as well. I don't know. I'm going to do a lot of playing around with this. So my dog's getting anxious now. She's been in her little crate for a while, so I'm going to get her out. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will attach Suzy's video because I'm sure she explains this much clearer than I. But I just wanted to show you how I'm spending my Saturday crafting on this, and hopefully inspire you, if you didn't see her video, to go check out her video, and I'm sure you'll be super inspired. I just love the size of this, and I really love the way it feels, so I'm going to do some playing with this style. So, see you all tomorrow. Have a great Saturday night. Bye-bye.